Welcome to the 50th lesson of SmartKnitter Knit Instructions Level 2. In this lesson, we will demonstrate techniques to create hollow panels. Let's look at the first example, which has some hollowed-out sections in the middle. Translate the original file, and we can see a prompt stating that feeder 3 cannot be brought in for knitting. We can also see quite a few floats in the panel. Return to SmartGraph by pressing F12 to jump to the same row. Switch to zone mode and change the right side Ravel yarn sections into a new zone. We will use the body yarn as the right side Ravel yarn to save time and avoid issues. Set the yarn ends for both feeders. Translate again. Now the panel is translated correctly. Let's look at another panel with hollowed-out sections at the sweep and both shoulders. Translate the original file, and we can see several warning prompts. The translated knitting code is clearly incorrect, with many floats and tucks throughout the panel. Return to SmartGraph and go to zone mode. First, we need to assign the section to the right of the sweep hollow section to a new distinct zone. Then change the right shoulder section zones as if knitting intarsia. Drag the new feeders to the appropriate slots and set the yarn end direction. Deselect the partial knit feeder property for color 1 in zone 2. Translate again. We can see the panel is now knitted correctly. Let's look at example 3, which is a sleeve panel with a hollowed-out center near the sweep. Translate the original file. we can see that the knitting action for the row after the right side partial knit section is incorrect. This is because the hollowed-out section is set immediately after the rib sweep section, so the system could not automatically add the transition from ribs to body with the empty stitches in between. To correct this, we can simply add a revolution of front knit after the sweep. Check the zone, it can be set to zone 1. Translate again. We can see the panel is now knitted correctly. Another method is to separate the left and right partial knit sections. Use this method if you do not want to change the row count of the panel. Check the row count of the partial knit section. There are 14 rows. Insert 14 rows above the partial knit section. Move the right partial knit section to the newly added rows. Change the back knit symbol on the last row of the sweep to back knit, then transfer to front. Move a row above the partial knit section to between the two partial knit sections. Clear out the extra stitches. Change zone 4 to zone 1. Translate again, and we can see this method also translates correctly. This marks the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching.